Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. So, Q&A time. This is the first time I'm doing a Q&A. And I posted about it just 2 days ago. And you guys have submitted so many good questions that I don't want people to have to, if and when I do this again, assuming this works out well, you know, I don't want people to ask a bunch of questions that don't get answered and then not ask them again later. So I'm going to go ahead and close the Q&A down now and get to a handful of these really good questions. So I want to first congratulate you guys on being super respectful with the comments and questions. As I said in the post, that if you just want to ask disrespectful or trolling questions, all you're going to get is a joke about your mom and how she keeps wanting you to call your uncle daddy. So I mean, it's you guys were awesome. I want to start with Mr. T. Mr. T is one of my paid subscribers. So the first two questions are going to be from my paid members. And I think that they're really good questions as well. So Mr. T asks, what is your most sentimental tattoo you have, and what made you finally try to pursue a serious YouTube channel? So that's two questions. My most sentimental tattoo is this one right here. It's a medal for my grandfather. So my grandpa, Grandpa Bill, William Merchant, nicknamed Feather. And that was his, I guess you call it a call sign or whatever, when he was in the Army Air Corps. He was a bomber pilot in World War II, 3 Purple Hearts, a bunch of other medals, and an all around fantastic guy. He was a pilot. I don't know how far back his piloting goes. I'm assuming it started in the Army Air Corps. Once he retired from there, he went and started flying private planes for Marathon Oil Company. And from there, I think he had his first heart attack, had to stop flying, and started a picture framing business, making you know, custom picture frames back when that was a little bit more popular than I guess it is probably today. One of the funniest men I've ever met, one of the most insightful men I ever met, jokes for days, and he's the one that got me into shooting. And I had a very, very deep connection with him growing up. He is the one that taught me how to drive. He's again, at the age of 8 years old, he started taking me to the shooting range. He's the one that introduced me to a bunch of people back then that by the time I was a teenager, a young teenager, 13, 14, I was shooting in competitions at that range. So very impactful person on my life, very important person in my life. And when he died, I was broken for a very long time. So that medal right there, which I'll do a closer up view of it for you, is my most sentimental tattoo. And that's it's a medal, red, white, and blue ribbon medal for my grandpa. And the second part of the question is, what made you finally try to pursue quote unquote serious YouTube channel? I'm glad that you think my YouTube channel is serious. The amount that as hard as I've been trying to grow the channel, it's not been working out very well for me. I blame YouTube. I know I don't make the best videos out there, but I work with what I have and what I can afford to do. And it's starting to pay off a little bit. I'm making more industry contacts. I'm attending more industry events, talking more to some bigger YouTubers here and there. But what made me decide to pursue a serious YouTube channel? Well, I'm assuming he means from sort of doing it part-time, I guess. You know, unscheduled releases, not as much money put into it, things like that, versus now I'm scheduling my releases, I'm making larger strides to make industry contacts, trying to actually, if I could do this for a living, I would. I think, so my channel started with what I thought was a need for information. Not my need for information, but the public's need for information. Because my channel started with doing purely 2A political talk. Bills, laws, things that were happening in different states, things like that. And I was one of the first 1 or 2 channels to do that on a regular basis. I was doing it sometimes daily. If you guys remember 11 years ago, if you've been following me that long, most of those videos are gone. I've deleted well over 400 videos because they don't mean anything anymore. They're either bills that didn't pass or events that have been long forgotten about and things like that. So most of those things, but I remember when some of the other channels that are doing news, 2A news now, when they were coming up and I was already doing it, and it was a struggle. And then I got the opportunity to start doing the hands-on stuff like this more often. The shooting, the actual being out shooting, recording myself shooting, things like that. Bought a nicer camera, things of that nature. And I found it to be something that I enjoyed. I looked at gun tubers as a whole and saw a lot of dishonesty in it, as far as like people getting paid, people getting steered one way or the other to make good reviews for products or things like that. And it still goes on today, goes on a lot today. You're hard pressed to find 100% honest YouTubers. Even some of your big ones that are out there and are very popular, they get special guns built for them from some manufacturers and even some budget manufacturers. And I think some of you guys probably know who I'm talking about. But they get special guns sent to them that the average public does not. And so that ensures good reviews. And then there's certain light companies that pay for good reviews and things like that. So I found a whole lot of dishonesty and a serious lack of hands-on knowledge. Not that there wasn't knowledgeable people out there. And today the YouTube is chock full of former special operations guys that are doing training videos or training tips and things like that. So it's not like it anymore. But back when I first really started getting into making training videos and making honest, serious reviews, the honesty was lacking in reviews, and there wasn't a whole lot of training videos out there. It's been the last handful of years, 3 or 4 years, that the training videos from a lot of people out there, former SEALs, former SF, stuff like that, that have been really been coming up and has been getting more popular. So that, I think, is what kind of got me in a direction of I need to take this seriously because there's a lack of. It's just how I viewed it. So I hope that answered your question, Mr. T. And second is going to be Abigail Finnegan. Now, Abigail's also a member of the channel, and she is also in my Discord. Talk to her all the time. And she asks, if money wasn't an issue and the NFA, other gun laws didn't exist, what would be your dream gun? Would you ever want more than a retro AR-15? And this is also a 2-part. It says, do you think constitutional carry is possible across the country without government harassing people for exercising their natural rights? So I'll tackle the first one first. If money wasn't an issue and the NFA or other gun laws didn't exist, what would be your dream gun? So this may come as a surprise to some of you guys, but I'm not a gun guy. I'm not a gun guy in the sense of I collect guns. I don't particularly care for historical guns. I don't particularly care for, I don't have a lot of guns. I mean, for some people, yeah, I have a lot of guns. There's people out there that only have a couple. I have something like 12 or 15 guns. But most of them are the same. Like I have 4 AKs, 3 or 4 AKs, 4 ARs, 3 or 4 Glocks, and then a couple of mismatched, like my shotgun and my 308 and my grandpa, my grandpa's 1911, 1947, 1911, a Taurus PT99. I've gotten rid of more guns than I own. I've sold more guns than I own. I'm not somebody that won't sell guns. So it's one of those where I don't, if the NFA didn't exist, I would probably just have more silencers. I'm currently waiting on a tax stamp right now for a Otter Creek silencer. But if the NFA didn't exist, it wouldn't be a gun thing. I probably wouldn't be like, oh, I really want that gun that can't be imported in the United States or that is controlled by the NFA, because I'm not really that guy. I would probably just have more silencers for the guns that I have, so I could outfit them all with a suppressor. They're tools to me. And I find tools that work exceedingly well, and I just kind of stick with that. Second part of it is, do you think constitutional carry is possible across the country without government harassing people for exercising their natural rights? Constitutional carry is already legal across the country. It's called the Second Amendment. Now, whether or not unconstitutional police and federal agents choose to shoot your dog over it, raid your house, and or otherwise kill you over doing so, that does not mean that constitutional carry is not already a right and legal. Legal being, if it's constitutional, if it's legal. If it's unconstitutional, it's not legal. All gun laws are unconstitutional. But per our bullshit laws today, no, I don't think nationwide concealed carry will ever be a thing. I think even if the Supreme Court rules it as a right that cannot be infringed, as the Second Amendment says, and does away with all licensing, permitting, and so on, there will still be states, we see it today, California, Illinois, New York, these are states that have given not just the current laws, but current Supreme Court rulings have given them the middle finger and continue to do things that the court has already said they cannot and should not be doing. So on that, no, I don't think that nationwide concealed carry or constitutional carry will ever be a thing as long as politicians are still in charge of the country. This is not a country of we the people anymore. It is a country of laws made by people who have two objectives: to line their pockets and continue state power. That's the only thing politicians, all the way from your local mayor, all the way to Donald Trump himself, the only thing, and of course Joe Biden, I mean, that's a given, but the only thing politicians are here to do is two things: to line their pockets and to continue state power, and they will never give up that amount of power to allow people to carry unmolested, so to speak. It's unfortunate, and I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong. I was wrong once before. I remember what it felt like. But no, as long as we still have states like New York, Illinois, and California, and people like Gavin Newsom that run states like those, no, they will continue doing whatever they want, however they want, whether it has been ruled unconstitutional by the courts or not, and there will never be any repercussions from it. So that got heavy. Roy Ayers says, what happened that made you join a militia and patrol the border? So some of you out there may not know that in 2015, I started Southern Arizona Militia. And it has had its ups and downs, as much as 25 members and as low as 3, and everywhere in between. January 6th and the crackdown of the federal government after January 6th has really put a damper on the whole thing as far as recruitment goes and people, wanting to join groups. I talk to leaders of groups all the time, and they all say the same thing. That since January 6th, not only their membership, but their requests for membership have plummeted severely. And anyway, what made me do it? Well, so dating all the way back to Ohio, before any of you guys ever knew who I was, before I ever had a YouTube channel, I looked into it. And the problem was that there was only a couple groups that were even reasonably near me in Ohio, and they were a joke. They were a fucking clown show. And they just wanted to talk about gear and how cool their gear was. They were just gear guys. They didn't really want to do anything. Because let's face it, most people don't want to put work in. And I'm finding that with my own group now, is that not the current membership, but people that do request membership and request to join, I put out, look, this is our schedule, this is how often we train, this is what we do, things like that, and then ghosted. Completely ghosted. And it's pretty pathetic, really. I mean, and if you've emailed me and have not replied to those emails, I'm talking about you. I'm not afraid to say it. I look at my email list of people who have never shown up to the recruitment meeting and the people who have never bothered to follow up with emails as a major reason why the country is in the shape it's in, is because people don't want to put the work in and take any chances. And I was looking for something when I started the group. I was looking for something that meant something, that made a difference. In my opinion, if nobody remembers you after you're gone, you have failed. You have failed in life. And I don't mean like your kids or your family members, but if you've not made an impact in any sort of way, whether it's, God, somebody's telling a story about you, about this impact they made on you made on their life after you're gone, or you've done something that was impactful, whether it's the security of the state, in this case with the militia, in the security of the state, security of your neighborhood, security of your city. I wanted to do something impactful, and I still want to do something impactful, and I'm still doing it. You guys just don't hear about it as much anymore. And it doesn't stop at the border stuff. It doesn't stop at all the stuff that when we're tracking down drug mules and things like that. Even if it's the members of the group, if I've made them better people through training, right? And someday they teach their kids or their friends what I've taught them, and that makes them a better person, more prepared to defend themselves, their families, loved ones, property, and freedom, then I'm happy. I'm happy that I made a difference. And that's why I wanted to join the militia to begin with, and why I eventually just formed my own, because when I got to Arizona, I did join a group that was an absolute clown show. No leadership, didn't take anything seriously, not very tight-knit. And that's when I quit and said, I guess I'm going to have to do this myself. So here's a funny one. NKHJK345 says, why no more ponytail? It looked great. Well, I appreciate that. I've been threatening to cut the ponytail off for a long time. Those of you guys who are new to the channel within the last like 6 months, I used to have like a 18-inch long ponytail off the back of my head. And I don't know, it was just time. I've had long hair my whole life, and it was just time. I mean, after I got out of the Navy, you know, I just kind of started letting it grow, and I think I cut it short once a lifetime ago, right? But yeah, I've always had long hair, but it was just time. No significant reason. It was just time. David G says, my question would be, how did you get started in your trade job, and do you still enjoy it? So for those of you guys who don't know, this is not my full-time job. I do have a skilled trade. I've been a welder and fabricator basically my entire life, 26 years. Multiple certifications, and I've done everything from building multi-million-dollar stainless steel machines for GM and Caterpillar and AC Delco and things like that, all the way to building front loader and backhoe buckets and giant earth moving blades, to what I do today, which is build mobile medical coaches. So what I do now is I work for a company called I may or may not, I'll probably bleep that out. But we build mobile medical coaches. We take a Nexus chassis that has a box on it. It's destined to be an RV, but it hasn't become an RV yet. Cut doors in it, make it a mobile. We deal mostly in mobile mammography for breast cancer screening, but we also do blood draw trucks and X-ray, CT scanners, stuff like that. But our bread and butter is the mobile mammography. And unfortunately, and yes, I still love doing that stuff. But as you guys know, last year I had a serious medical issue, and I still have it. I'm still doing physical therapy and chiropractic care to take care of it. Someday I'll need surgery on my neck. I have two bulging discs, and I have something called cervical, I can't remember the name of it, but basically what has happened is I have arthritis in my neck that has built where my nerves shoot through my neck, or through the spine bones, that the arthritis has built up, and is now pinching off the nerves. And I am in a constant state of trying to get my neck stretched out to relieve some of that. I'm on the daily basis doing exercises with my right arm. It's not affecting my left very much, but on a daily basis doing exercises with my right arm called nerve flossing, to try to keep all of this from not being in excruciating pain and numb. And so they've shelved me at work, and it's sort of a blessing in disguise. They did keep me on, which was awesome of them. And I have now learned SolidWorks. Now, I'm not a professional at it, but I am now doing all of the drawings and 3D CAD stuff for our company as far as building these coaches, where we used to pay an outside vendor a lot of money to do that. So I gained another skill in doing so, but I do absolutely enjoy building stuff. It's a creation thing. You take a pile of nothing, and now there's a working something that's awesome, right? Heavy steel welded together, blood, sweat, and tears, and now you've made a thing. So it's very cool. It's very satisfying. Unfortunately, I don't know how much longer, if at all, I'll ever be able to do it again. So the guy you know asks, and I'll do two more after this. This is, I know, long-winded, but I'm enjoying it. Okay, somewhat of a long-winded question, but if you could go back to when you first got into firearms, with all the knowledge you have now, what would you change? Would you change the type of firearm you carry? And what would you totally avoid? Or what would you go deeper into out of the gate? What would I change as far as getting into firearms? Probably not much. I was exposed to a lot of training and a lot of knowledge at a very young age. And even in my early teens, before I ever enlisted in the Navy, I was doing what is now basically IDPA, right? IDPA didn't exist back then, but there was local tournaments and competitions that some would even have called back then like a Hogan's Alley thing. And so even at a young age, I was doing these run and gun competitions that I was being taught by former door kickers and badasses from the military, even way back then. And so the one thing I think I would change is I would probably, I would have started my journey to being an instructor earlier, at a younger age than what I have. That's probably the one thing I would change, and that's a relatively new thing. I've been teaching people. I don't know if you can see my door here, but I have my own company, and of course doing videos on here. But I would probably have changed that. I would have gotten into that earlier. I would have bought land earlier when it was more affordable, and so on and so on. Everything that has to do with getting into it earlier. Would I change the type of firearm I would carry? No, absolutely not. I shot at a very young age. I shot the Gen 1 G17 and have shot every 9mm Glock on the planet, with the exception of the G18, as they were coming out, as they were new. Back when people were first making fun of the plastic fantastic or whatever they called it, Tupperware gun, it would go through metal detectors, when all that shit was still happening. I was shooting Glocks way back then, or at least exposed to them, and I've had plenty of opportunity. I could change what gun I carry now. I mean, I could sell all of my Glocks and the 100 or so mags I have for them and totally get into a different platform. Absolutely. But I don't, because in my opinion, the Glock is dollar for dollar the best platform on the planet. Pistol platform on the planet. Does it do everything perfectly? No, of course it doesn't. Are there guns out there with better triggers? Of course there are. Is there guns out there with better grips? Well, it's subjective. But in my opinion, no single company has brought to the table a pistol, for instance, this G19, right? No company has brought to the table a stock pistol that can compete in reliability, in aftermarket support, and in professional duty and military use. The amount of combat Glock has seen has proven itself over and over and over again. So no, I would not change what I carry. And what would you go deeper into out of the gate? Close quarter stuff. I'm good at it now. I teach people it. I've never done it as a job, like, actual door kickers, but they're the people that taught me how to do it, and I think it is my duty and your duty to take good information from qualified people, which I can get into in another video. I'm not trying to gatekeep there, but there are people out there that just give shitty advice. But I think it is all of our duty to further the information that we learn throughout our gun journey. Let's see here. What comms do you run, and what? So 11 Bravo Terminal SPC says, what comms do you run, and what is your shit hit the fan kit setup and favorite metal band? So I'll do one more after this because this is a pretty long question. What comms do I run? Well, hold on. So I run the same set of ears on each of my helmets. This is my bump helmet. It's a cheap Chinese bump helmet. It's a bump helmet. People get way too worked up over bump helmets. Bump helmets are just high density plastic that keep you from knocking your lid on a tree branch or if you fall and hitting your head on a rock. Bump helmets can be very cheap and still do their job. So this is a very cheap Amazon bump helmet. I put Ballistic Armor Co. padding in it because it did have pretty trash padding in it to begin with. But if you run a helmet at all regularly, you know that when you get a helmet, you change everything about it. If you haven't changed the padding and screwed around with things inside of it and all that, it's because you don't wear it enough. No one helmet fits you perfectly. It just doesn't. But these are knockoff pelters. I'll put a link to these. They're on Amazon, on and off on Amazon and eBay. I don't recall the name of them, but this is a 3M mount, but the ears are the actual units are knockoff pelters. I bought a set 2 years ago or something. I thought I'll try them. They're really inexpensive, like $100 for them. I thought, hell, if they work for a year, $100 isn't bad. If they work not at all, then of course I wasted money. And I do that often with pieces of kit. I'll buy a knockoff piece to see if I like it. There will probably be some things that I don't like about the quality because it is a knockoff piece. But it lets me know if I want to spend the big money on the more expensive one. And it just so happens that these pieces, so I have the same set on my ballistic helmet. It just so happens that these pieces, these knockoff pelters have worked great. I never had a failure with them. They come with gel cups and the whole 9 yards. Again, 3M mounts and things like that. They come with the push to talk that you put on your kit. And this is a Ballistic Armor Co. helmet, ballistic helmet, phenomenal helmet. Probably, in my opinion, the best of budget ballistic helmets out there. They're very comfortable. Again, I have screwed with the padding in it a little bit because it sat a little deep on my head. And so I put extra padding in the crown of it to bring it up off my head a little bit. Again, if you haven't screwed around with your helmet that much, it's because you don't wear it enough. But, and then I just hook the push to talk up to a Baofeng. And it works fine for my uses. I can talk to my teammates within a few miles and even farther if I have a higher vantage point, because they're good for 2 to 5 miles depending on line of sight and so stuff like that. So yeah, that's the comms that I run. What is your shit hit fan kit setup? I wouldn't say I have one specifically set aside for that, although I have one that's built up more. It's an AR500 Veritas carrier with I can't even remember what plates I have it, and I have so many different sets of plates. But it's got an IFAK on it, radio, a placard, hydration. You know, it's one of those things where it has just a little bit of everything on it. That way, if I can only grab that, you know, at least I have something of everything. But I really wouldn't call it my shit, but it's the most built up kit that I have, is what I'm getting at. I have 4 sets of body armor all set up differently, but my new go-to kit will be the Agilite K0 for future reference. And favorite metal band. God, I'm either gonna piss people off. Metalheads are, golly, metalheads take these answers very seriously. So I have two answers for you because it depends on the mood I'm in. Pantera, anything Pantera. They've never made a bad song in my opinion. Sure, there's some that are not as good as others. Dimebag is one of the most influential guitarists of my lifetime, and God, that's a guy the metal community has really, the loss of him was massive. And then Five Finger Death Punch, and that's the one that's going to piss people off. That's not metal. But I think they make a lot of great music. I like a lot of the messages they have in a lot of their songs. So yeah, Pantera and Five Finger Death Punch. So last one. Let's see here. Reacher25 from South Africa says, "Hi Matt, what is your current daily carry? How many magazines do you carry with you on a daily basis? Greetings from South Africa." Reacher, now all of these people are followers of, I recognize all of your names. Of course the members as well. This is what I carry on a daily basis, is my Works M6 holster, and this is the configuration. My G19 with a standard capacity 15 round mag, with Hornady, 135 grain Hornady Critical Duty plus P in it, and I carry a, right now I'm carrying a 15 with the Strike Industries plus 5 on it. It also has Hornady Critical Duty in it, but I will also sometimes carry, this is going to eat some people up, but I also sometimes carry a 17 round ETS mag with the plus 5 base plate on it as well, or instead of this. But I carry a spare mag and a standard capacity mag in it. I think these are phenomenal holsters, some of the best on the market. You're not going to find another holster, you know, even if you don't want to carry it like this, you're not going to find another holster made this well with this many mounting solutions for this price. Doesn't exist. I've looked it up. With the mounting solutions built, claw included, and it has a wedge on the back, 093 bolter on. This, you're not going to find it. You're not going to find as well built of a inside the waistband holster as you will the Works M6. Now it might not be for you because they only make light bearing holsters, which is good for me because I only carry guns with lights on them. So there you go. There's the Q&A for this time. I don't know how long this video has been or will be, but I'm sure it's plenty long. I hope I have answered everybody's questions or answered them in a way that has been entertaining for you and given you the information you want to know. Thank you everybody out there for your support. If you like this Q&A, and maybe the next one I'll choose fewer answers so it's a little shorter, but if you like this Q&A, please let me know down below, because if I want to make videos that you guys like, I make videos for me all the time. Videos that I want to make all the time. I also want to make videos that you guys want. So if you want more Q&A videos, I will do this more often, maybe once every 3 months or something, or once every other month, or it just depends on how popular it is. So thank you guys for your support. Thank you to all the questions. You guys are awesome. And yeah, we'll talk to you later.